and there's a pre-test.
For sure. Well, maybe I should have just took a screenshot of it, but I think I should be okay. I do agree with you about the Apex one because, well, to a limit, because I was going through and I did feel like, oh, is that it? Is that all? Like every time I went through a section, I was like, is that all?
Right, because like the economic section is like supply and demand, and then there's like 6 questions and they're like practice quiz, and I'm like, I feel like there's more to know about economics than the 6 questions that they're asking you.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm just opening up and like, you look at like communication, for example, is the first one they talk about, and then here's economics, and what is capitalism, and then there's that.
What is capitalism, which is good for, I guess, general understanding and getting an idea of everything. But just for the sake of time, it's 7:07. Hello, Deanna. How are you?
All right. Yeah.
Hi. How are you, Curtis? How's everybody?
Awesome. Perfect. I'm doing pretty good too. Excited, nervous, sad, happy at the same time. Today is my last session taught. If anyone else decides that they want to, of course, create some sessions or even share some sessions, I would definitely probably jump in. But just for the sake of, I'm also going to be taking the test this upcoming October. I'm also just putting this like dedicated time to focusing on any last aspects that I may not be as strong in. So, but also excited to get back to my family a little bit. We have family time on Sundays, and this would give them just a little moment because not only do I have this moment together with everyone, but I also take time to prepare for this moment, but also study on my own for myself. So it's quite some hours that I dedicate per week to this. So I'll be excited. Today is probably not going to be as long, although this is the final one. I did hit record, so come to find out, and it's true that a lot of other people who are in both groups, they will go back and review it because they are also spending time with their families and doing other things on Sunday. So I've been getting a lot of direct messages from people saying, thank you for recording it. I've really been missing it. And they've taken a moment to appreciate these recordings. So you may not see a bunch of people on right now, but this is it. And I may end up doing a few more recordings, just kind of circling back to the beginning of what I was not recording in the beginning. Like, what is a diplomat? What is an ambassador? What are these roles? What is the foreign service? So I'm gonna add those to the YouTube list on my channel as well. So if you would notice in our chat, which I've put them in both main chats, the general FSOT chat on WhatsApp and also the Foreign Service Officer Test chat, I included 3 attachments. Today is we're talking about case management, but not only the case management, but the oral assessment. Oh,
sorry, my wife's laughing. I probably should put myself on mute.
It's okay. I was a little nervous. I was like, "What is that?" Oh man, I was thinking about watching a scary movie too. I was like, what is happening? Okay, I'm gonna share my screen really quick. Yeah. I've been pushing myself to speak the way I write, and I noticed that I definitely write the way I speak, which I needed to improve that. So here recently, I've really been pushing myself to eliminate the word really, eliminate the word like, and eliminate a lot of extra fluff words. I'm going to share this screen. We'll probably wrap in 20 minutes tonight, just to give you back some time. So just kind of starting from what are we like, what is the focus and why is it? So step one, apply for the Foreign Service Officer test. Today is September 1st, which means that the application is officially open. You choose your career track, you complete your personal narratives, you submit the application, and then it says complete the personal narratives, but then it should also say submit your personal narratives right after that, and then you get an invitation to take the FSOT. Once you do and you pass the FSOT, you will get an invitation to the FSOA, which is the Foreign Service Officer exam. Some people probably mistakenly say Foreign Service Oral Exam because of OA, but it's the officer exam. The reason why it is dubbed nicknamed the oral exam is because of the case management exercise, the group exercise, and the structured interview. On this call tonight, I'm going to actually share some parts of what was a part of the structured interview. So they keep the information fresh, and I think this is so outdated that it's more so like, well, we don't care if we share it anymore. But I got this information from a reliable source, FSO Compass. Let Ruben in. And once you do pass the FSOA, which includes the case management exercise, which we'll be going over today, the group exercise, which is essentially how do you work in a group, and then that one-on-one structured interview, which right now is 100%, it was exclusively online. This used to be in person. You used to have to go to DC for this. You no longer have to do that. Once you complete these steps, you will get a conditional offer. That conditional offer says if you pass your minimum medical qualifications, if you're able to get your top secret clearance, following a background investigation and receive, of course, positive evaluation of everything all together, then you will officially go into the register, which is essentially their short list of people who are in the pool, people who are ready to go and ready to deploy and go to A100, get your assignment on Flag Day and go learn your language, so you can go to your duty post, which is that final offer. My goal is to get through all of these tabs today, so we're done with this one. Actually, I'm gonna just share this one. This is not, I don't think we actually need to go through this, but I will touch on it a bit. So I got this from the Department of State website. It's about the assessment. So critical thinking, cultural adaptability, experience and motivation, so on and so forth. It's really giving an in-depth insight into what to expect, how to prepare, including introduction of the assessment itself, the Foreign Service selection process, which we just covered, the assessment process itself, how to prepare for the assessment summary, case management, structure, interview, group exercise, just so we can make this make a little bit more sense. I'm going to click on case management. So it's just going to in detail about what it is. This is a 90-minute section for this one. The structure interview is an hour. And and the group exercise is just 20 minutes. The case management on the FSO Compass is only an hour. So it's really pressuring you to get it under the wire there. Although it is from directly Department of State website, it is saying 90 minutes. The hypothetical scenarios, we did those a few months ago. That was really fun. We went through several scenarios where we had two countries that the United States was partnered with, and we had everyone else as a writing exercise recap what happened. So that was a challenge for writing but it was also really good to kind of play it out unscripted. And I will share this here in the chat. And I'll also drop it just for the sake of covering my bases in the groups. Which I've learned that although it's like 20 groups, it's really mainly 2 groups, because this one or one of these had, and including like the other cities and states. All right, that is there. I can close this one. I definitely recommend going through it just for extra information, just to kind of cover your overall thinking of the assessment itself. For the sake of not overwhelming yourself, obviously you still have to complete the test. I would focus on completing the test first, and then maybe if you have some extra time, pursue this extra information so you can prepare for the assessment. Closing this link. Okay, so let me see, should I do this one first? Okay, this is I thought was really cool, really interesting. So these are actual questions from the structured interview. So answers to expertise and motivational questions. They're telling you, just right here. These are the same links I'm going to be sharing with. Actually, let me just share it right now. Copy. Again, cover on basis. Just post it everywhere. All these links, you should not need to use any password or anything to get in. You should just be able to just jump in. All right. Copy, paste. People who are not in this live, they're gonna be like, what are all these links? Well, you'll find out when you watch the video. All right, so to somewhat cover some of these, as a person who interviews people, I've been in HR for 14 years total. So I interview people for jobs in different industries. This is very similar to what I've gotten to the point. This is what they give you when you don't know how to interview people. As far as like some structured questions, but after a while, especially when you start learning people, when you start learning the industry, you know what questions to ask. And this is one of those where, because it's a little bit more specific to the Department of State and to being a Foreign Service officer, I will say I really like these questions. So just to kind of ask, to read them. I'm just going to read about 5 of them, just so you can get an idea of the types of questions for the structured interview. Describe a time you feel and were treated unfairly, and how you dealt with it. How did you deal with it? Cultural adaptability. What have you learned from your cross-cultural experiences which helped prepare you for the Foreign Service? There's a lot of acronyms in the military, which I do remember when I was in the Navy, but apparently there's a lot of acronyms in the Department of State as well, including the Foreign Service. And there is, here's a guide to some of those acronyms, and we'll kind of touch on them a little bit. This is just some of them, not all of them, but some of them. But we'll touch on that in a moment. We'll come back. Talk about a time you had to change a fit. Talk about I wonder who wrote these. Talk about a time you had to change to fit. Okay, I get it. A subtle cultural difference. So basically, you had to adapt. You had to fit in. Describe a time when you had to work with a person who had different values than you. Now, some of these are very specific to the cone, very specific to the job. Either way, it's a lot of questions here. So you do have the link to this, so you can read it. What I can do try to remember is on the YouTube video. Try to put the link here too, so just in case you're not in the WhatsApp group.
Hey Travis, quick question. These questions are from the structural interview that are no longer, that are after you've been approved and you're on doing your assessment. But do you think, I mean, obviously these are good options, but I'm assuming they have been updated, so we get invited there and we're not going to have the same
yeah, it's not going to work on.
Yeah.
If anything, I'm sharing this material because it gives you the type of depth you should prepare your own story for. So just like a job interview, it's not more important to know exactly what the interviewer is going to ask you. It's more important to understand who you are and how you can contribute your story to foreign service. So no matter what they ask you, how, as far as the different levels, how to speak about in general, your supervisors, your colleagues, working with teams, dealing with difficult people. So you know these type of scenarios and how to communicate to it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, for sure. But you're right. I'm 100% sure that these are not going to be the same exact questions. Deanna, you got a question?
Yeah, quick question. I just missed a little bit. These are the questions like the interview questions that will ask you. That's what you mean?
Yeah. So the FSOA or the Foreign Service Officer assessment is composed of the case management, group exercise, and the structured interview. This is a part of the structured interview. So this is actually them sitting down with you virtually and asking you interview questions based on why do you want to join the Foreign Service, specifically in the cone that you apply for.
Okay, great. Thank you.
No problem. Good question. See, I think the rest of these are blank. So you do have the link in your own time. Learn your story. It doesn't. One thing I love and I appreciate about the Foreign Service is that it doesn't matter if you were a bus driver, a janitor, a CEO, a salesperson, a cook. It doesn't. It really does not matter what your background is. On some level, you cover all the cones. On some level, you've had some level of management or dealt with management or interacted with management. On some level, you learn how to work with people. It's not, you don't have to have foreign affairs or international affairs experience to apply to be a Foreign Service officer or specialist. That's one thing I really do appreciate. So even as you're preparing your answers to these questions, or generally to these type of questions, just keep that in mind. Same thing with the personal narratives. When you're preparing your responses to the prompts, you don't have to think, well, I'm already doing the job, or I need to make up some experience. No, it doesn't even have to be work experience. It can be something you've done in your community, something you've done in your personal life. You planned a wedding. Think about every project you've ever done, and you can use that type of experience. Hello, Elizabeth. And
hi, everyone.
Good to see you. So this has been recorded, so I will share the link in the group after. But these links that are in the chat are for what we're going over now. So closing out the interview questions. The oral assessment, this right here is a strategy guide for the oral assessment. This may, forewarning, this actually may be a little outdated. However, and I say outdated, it was, when was this created? 2020, so 4 years ago. However, the foundation of this is still true, although the specifics are not. And again, overall, you want to use this as information to just empower yourself to prepare for it. So using the dimensions, preparing for the group exercise, which I will read this. I really like, so I did read this before this session. And overall, what it's saying is, how do you prepare for it? and how do you present yourself in a way that's going to be good for working in an environment like this. So example, in fact, I'll make it a little bigger because it's a little small on the screen. Yeah. So for the group exercise, which is timed as well. So general tips before the group exercise, bring some means of keeping track of time. Before now, I wonder if the group exercise is going to be through Zoom as well. Do you know, Sam? You're on mute.
I really have no idea. I was under the impression it was going to be in person, because I wanted to see how you work together.
Right.
But I really have no idea, to be honest.
Because according to what we saw, is that it is exclusively that the entire officer assessment is offered online.
Oh, okay. So the entire everything is going to be done online.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I'm assuming that this is also. I mean, this is a part of it. So
yeah.
So it says, so again, this is outdated. So it says bring some ways of keeping track of time. You'll be at home. So that shows the outdated information. Before it begins in the waiting room, try to establish a good rapport with the other group members. So this is kind of maybe the equivalent of when you're on a Zoom meeting and you're waiting for the speaker to get started, introduce yourself to others, interact, engage. Because it reminds me of the show much on Netflix called Love is Blind UK, right? It's like the cameras are always on you, and essentially they want to see how you're interacting with people. So not just in the pods, not just in the moment, but how you're interacting overall to just see if you're a good person or not, or a good fit for this or not.
Travis, so you just confessed to being a fan of Love is Blind. To be continued.
I am a huge fan, and we will talk about it anytime you want.
Okay, great.
Complete side note, the next one is going to be in Atlanta. So coming back to it. All right. Spirit of exercise. And I'm not going to be up there because I'm married. Spirit of exercise. The key to build consensus, not majority vote. So I think the goal is here in my translation of this is to not just overpower everyone based on your strong opinion. How do you get people? How do you rally people to get behind your thought or to contribute your thought to other people's goals and projects? The operative word is we. Your goal is to create success for the group. Focus on the consensus building aspects of the exercise. Focus primarily on demonstrating composure, initiative, leadership, oral communication, and working with others. Specific do's and don'ts. Write down the instructions at the beginning and make sure you are following them exactly. All of your presentation points. All of your presentation points have to absolutely be extracted exclusively from the materials. If there is a difficult participant, stay away from making personal assertions against them or their performance. I do want to comment on that. What I've learned with working with small groups of people, large groups of people, is if you can just kind of stick to some SOPs or stick to some operating procedures or even operate objectively and not attack personally, you'll go a long way in any setting. You don't have to be an HR guru or how do you deal with people to not hurt people's feelings, but it more so if you don't want to say it to you, don't say it. Don't say it to them, right? It's kind of one of those things. And some of these scenarios and hypotheticals, or in short, hypos, which is one of the acronyms that we'll go over, those are some of the type stressful environments that you will kind of come across. And you will, because of cultural differences, begin to probably form some thoughts and opinions that may come out completely the wrong way. So learning how to compose yourself and deal with those types of groups ahead of time is going to be a really great way to move forward with that. Look for and use three S's. It's not anyway. Let me say threes. 3 benefits, 3 drawbacks, 3 important points, 1 anchor, maybe extracting some details from the information you have been given, and is that listening in threes. Body language, good eye contact with everyone could be a good anchor. Elizabeth, aren't you a doctor? Okay.
I am not. I am a journalist slash communications expert, if you will. But yeah, I'm not the doctor. There was somebody who was on who was a doctor the last call I was on, but I'm blanking on her name right now.
Okay, so I'm not completely making this
Oh yeah,
up.
no, someone else was on the call, and I have to look at the chat to figure it out. But yeah, not I.
Okay, I remember that. Okay. Body language. Smile when you speak. Everyone in the last, since February, pretty much does that. And I'm going to miss a lot of these calls because I've met some really good people in doing these. So, but just for the sake of not reading all of this, this is just general tips for the group exercise during the preparation phase. And again, just keep in mind that some of this information a lot of this information is outdated because this is meant for doing this in person, where it is right now 100% online. But you can kind of take it from your own conclusions and reading that, okay, these things I can use, these things I can't. Checklists for interventions, presentation phase, definitely take a moment to review on your own time. Discussion phase, and I feel like, anyway, just sticking to the point of tonight's session. When you have so many different people in a true diverse environment where everyone has different experiences, I think it is super important on learning how do you come to a consensus. How do you suggest a project without overbearing or just kind of taking over things? I don't know where it is, but I remember I was the chair of the Human Relations Commission for my hometown, for the city of Wilson, North Carolina. And I was so young. I was really young, no experience in leading groups other than sports, pretty much. Like I was on the track team, and I used to lead the exercises when I was in high school with my team. But I didn't have experience with leading community leaders. Like everyone here was grown in their own perspective and a leader in their own industry and their own game. And I remember there was a lot of bumping heads. You had people who were older, people who were younger. Everybody cared passionately about the community and about different issues. So, trying to plan who was going to be the humanitarian of the year kind of thing. We used to have that award ceremony. It was actually a lot of things that were challenging in my experience, which probably I can probably use this as a personal narrative if I ever needed to. But learning how to come to a consensus, learning how to operate a meeting. There was a rule book, Robert's rules of something. I forgot what it's called, but maybe y'all know. But essentially, how to operate or facilitate a meeting and call meetings to order, make sure minutes are taken care of, and make sure everybody gets heard.
I actually need to read that book. I thought it was just called Robert's Rules, but it's Robert's Rules of something. I guess a friend just recommended it to me this past week. So I really need to go get that.
Yeah, let's go ahead and lock that down right now.
Rules of Order or something. Oh yeah, Robert's Rules of Order. Yep.
Robert's Rules of Order. I knew it was something. It was given to me. It was like, here, won't you read this? Yeah. So Robert's Rules of Order. Let's go ahead and just drop that link in the chat for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it definitely helped, I will say. Okay. All right. And then the structured interview, which we somewhat touched on with those questions. Don't sound canned or overly rehearsed. Just be yourself. Tell your story, Sam. Be succinct, but complete. in your answers, smile when you speak. I don't think any of you can have any troubles with that. This is essentially just how to have a job interview. I mean, that's essentially what that is. But the structured interview is broken down into experience and motivation, and of course those general questions that you're going to experience. So the hypotheticals. So this is where situational judgment comes in handy, which we've practiced over time. The situational judgment, or and also the hypotheticals, this is going to gauge your composure. Essentially, these dimensions, right? These judgment, they want to see how you handle yourself using the dimensions. And with the hypotheticals, they're going to give you a scenario, and I'm actually going to pull up one for us before we wrap. But they want to see how you handle yourself in a scenario. You don't have to have the full answer, but they want to see, how do you think? All right, so this link is already in the chat, also in the group, so I will leave you to that in your own device. You can see here that there's 76 pages here. So there's a lot of information on the strategy guide for oral assessment. Excuse me. But I will leave you to that in your own time. We have 20 minutes left. I grabbed this book from the FSO conference as well. This guy, I don't know if this is the same as that guy, but I think he is actually a current Foreign Service officer, and his job, I want to say, is, let me not assume, just go to it. Okay. Foreign Service officer in the Department of State, if this is the same one. And his current job is disinformation and propaganda analyst. Disinformation and propaganda analyst. I've been looking online at different people who are currently part of the Foreign Service who are on LinkedIn, and they don't actually list what their actual job title is other than U.S. diplomat or Foreign Service officer. So I thought it was interesting that he did. I'm glad he did. But this book right here is 151 pages, and it's good. So I would say, again, in your own time, did I share this one already? I don't think I'm
not seeing the link for that, but I'm just looking to see. You mean in our chat and WhatsApp, or you mean in?
Just posted, just shared it in the chat, but I'm also going to share it in the WhatsApp group.
Thank you.
People who are not on this call, I know they're probably been bombarded with all these links. Like, what are all these? You'll see soon when you watch the video. You start clicking on them. Okay. But to kind of touch on what this is about, so you know why it's good, and the fact that someone who's going to be just like us, one of our future coworkers, wrote this book or this guide. I think is really incredible. If this is the same guy, I really do wonder if it's the same guy. But this book is basically breaking down, if you want to be a part of the Department of State, specifically in the Foreign Service. So going over key abbreviations and introduction of why this book, why join the Foreign Service, the Foreign Service in context, the nuts and bolts of the exam. If I was aware of this book specifically, I probably would have started with this book back in February, and I think they would have given us maybe a guide of how to conduct this, because I didn't really have structure until my wife bought these books for me, as far as like how I was teaching these or co-studying. with you all. But yeah, like back in between February and May, I was just kind of just looking online and seeing what it was about and trying to share content based on what I thought would be useful. But in general, overview, advice, preparing for the test, the registration packet, personal narratives. This is everything that we've been doing, since the beginning. Preparing for the officer assessment, which is what we're talking about tonight. I will go to that page. The case management, group exercise, and structure interview, what to do after the test, what to expect. And yeah, this is good. So I want to go to 47. Actually, we're going to go over the abbreviations first, and then we go to 47. Board of Examiners, BEX or BEX, CM, Case Management, CON, Consular Track, CPs, Core Precepts, CS, Civil Service. And if you're not aware, Civil Service is like a sister branch, essentially, of Foreign Service. So Civil Service is domestic service, like people who are doing similar work in our own land versus abroad. Department of State, DOS, E&M, Experience and Motivation, Econ, Economic Track, EE, English Expression, FS, Foreign Service, FSO. And these are just the acronyms that are at this level. When you actually get into the job and actually working, there's going to be a lot more. These acronyms are specific to prior Flag Day. Hypotheticals, job knowledge, so on and so forth. I was just saying so on and so forth. This book references Google Drive's edition access. Let me see this. I don't think I've seen this. Oh, I just found a whole new folder of stuff. Let me share it with you now.
Attached to that book?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Sharing it now.
That was at the bottom of the index?
Yeah, it was just there. It's
Oh, wow.
sitting there. I wish I would have started with this. Oh man, this is good. Okay. Share it in the chat. Oh, that's good. Personal narrative. Okay. I'm just
So where did you find this? How did you find this?
This was in the FSO Compass, which is also on the Department of State website. Just so happened like this book, this guide, but the FSO Compass also had it.
Okay.
But yeah, I did not know about this link until I stopped, which I'm glad I did, because these are pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. Okay, moving on. 47. So this is a guide. Oh, 47. There we go. Okay. Officer assessment, which is tonight's focus. Timing, cohort. So Windows, that's where we are now. This is every year, which is great. This is not outdated at all, which is really good as far as like that portion of it. You see these acronyms coming in place now. So definitely important to officer exam, or the officer exam or assessment. But yeah, now so it's actually I've read this one too. So it's actually giving you some of this is just stats on why you should prepare for this instead of winging it. Because there's a lot of people who do not come prepared and they will need to take it again, and which is the stats of how many hours of people actually putting toward it. Group exercises. So this is actually the very next thing that we're going to cover before we wrap. I thought this was going to be a short section. I was thinking this is going to be done tonight at 30 minutes after the hour, but this is a lot of information, obviously. So the group exercises, for the sake of how many people that we have versus how many people that it needs, 4 to 6, 3 to 7. We're not going to do those. Plus, we don't have that kind of time today, but I will click on each of these exercises so you can actually see what it looks like. Oh, I saw that one. Okay. But in your own time, definitely review. Actually, I'm going to leave that one open for me. Pin that one. And I'll leave this one open to pin. Okay. So these are the group exercises. These two, and you'll notice the similar names from the exercise from the guide. I did do a little check to make sure that some of the emails there's some places here that are listed. They're not real, so I did check that they're completely for the exercise. These places are not real. The email addresses in here are not real. It's fully for that purpose. These coordinates I checked. It leads to a country in Africa, so which is not that completely. So, but the purpose of this group exercise, and I do recommend copy and paste in your own time. Here you go, dropping that in. Oops. So you'll be able to have it. These are a part of the group exercises and the case management. So not the group, I'm sorry, not the group, but the case management. One of the links, two of the links that I shared, the hypotheticals will help with these. Oh, perfect. That's the final link there. But just so you have an idea, so you'll see here, it's saying like pages 11 to 13, project number 2. So it's giving additional context. You'll see that in one of the links where it's actually in the one that we actually just left, where it's talking about this specific project. But what it's doing, well, just continuing with the one that we were on, is giving you a clear idea of how to prepare, how to present, and what are you actually doing for this. So this is a discussion phase. So it's giving you the actual information. This version was revised November 2023. It's giving information of what you need to do to actually do this completely and successfully. Your end goal, your mission, if you choose to accept it. Before the discussion ends, you must write a memo to the ambassador with your recommendations. If you were a part of the last or the hypothetical scenario that we created, we did memos after and recapping the scenario. That should have helped you for this, but this is what they're looking for you to actually create a memo from the projects. So they give you this information packet on this hypothetical country. You can see it's surrounded by land. There's no sea connected to it, so it is landlocked. It is giving you information about it. And unless you're really into GIS or geographical information systems, you're probably going to be wondering, well, how does this have anything to do with foreign service, and why does it apply to today? I think it's more so just understanding the country and understanding some of their strengths, some of their weaknesses. Why would they? And I'm sure every country has these types of profiles, but they're basically looking at it to say, well, how do we as a diplomat contribute towards the mission? And this type of information packet is going to let you know exactly who they are, what they're about, and be able to immerse yourself in that country, and be fully aware, which is, I think, what they really care about with this type of information packet. I really appreciate how detailed it is, although it is a fake scenario, it's a fake country. But if I was to receive a packet like this, I think I would go in definitely more aware and prepared.
I would assume that people would get these kinds of packages on every assignment. I mean, some assignments you have to learn a whole new language before you even go to the assignment. So it makes sense to know this about wherever you're going to be assigned as a diplomat. So yeah.
Completely.
And you won't use it all, but it makes sense to have that at your fingertips.
Yeah, you're definitely not going to use it all unless you were the ambassador. But I think because of your contribution to the mission, it may be important to know that exports for this country is 131 million. What they focus on is when it comes to agriculture is cotton, coffee, tobacco, tapioca, yams, corn, bananas, millet. So, but it lets you know why this country is thriving. How could you, what relationships can you establish to help them succeed? Where they're failing? Do they have their labor force? This type of packet will let you know a lot on how to help them be stable, how to support them, especially when it comes to your part in the mission, their debt, and more. Communication lines. That's interesting. That's interesting to me. I don't know if that's a part of the memo, but there's many people that are in this country. There's only 10,000 phones. Well, mainline phones and 60,000
Mobile phones.
That's interesting. How many people are there? 4 million? Interesting. But yeah, obviously, details here. But this is just a scenario where you can take it. I'll drop the link in there already, and you can practice on your own how to successfully leave a memo here in this case. But this is a lot of information.
Mm-hmm.
The time right now is 7:54. And yeah.
Oh, I was just going to ask you a quick question, and you may have said this. Are you definitely taking this in October?
Definitely taking it in October. Yeah.
What cone are you going for? You're doing the management one, aren't you?
100%.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
HR makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I wasn't sure at first. I was thinking, well, maybe I'll do a pivot. Maybe I'll do public diplomacy. Like, no, let me focus on my strengths. Let me focus on what makes sense for me.
Sam, are you taking it in October as well?
Yeah. I was originally thinking about doing the public diplomacy, but because I had some my first experience with the diplomats were through a student exchange when I was in Peace Corps Nicaragua, and I enjoyed that part. But then apart from more research, I learned that public diplomacy is more communications, PR,
which is my background. So that's what I keep thinking I want to do. So yeah.
So I think I'm actually going to do the console one. I enjoy, working with people. I've worked the past 7 years now in case management and in healthcare, and so I thought that would be probably the most interesting. I don't, obviously you have your window time, but I know there's going to be other things that are going to be part of that program as well. So we'll see.
Yeah. When are you taking it, Elizabeth?
So I was supposed to have taken it. I have just been such a derelict. Thank you for all that you've done to help us all study, but I feel so behind on my studies. So I need to, honestly, I want to take it in October, but I don't feel ready. So I don't know. I need to decide if I'm sucking it up and taking a stab at it, or if I'm waiting till February. But I just realized as we were sitting here, so I took it in February, I guess almost 2 years ago now. And I'm like, how is it? I was supposed to take it before that again. So it feels weird that I waited 2 years, but I guess if I waited 2 years and I'm ready, then that's worth it. So I need to decide.
Yeah. I took it in June last year and I had studied some, and I was well done. I was reading The Economist and studying along that kind of. I didn't get any study guides, but didn't pass, and so I was like, well, this year I think I'm gonna start studying with the guide, and I got connected to this, and so this has been helpful. And we'll see. I'm not reading The Economist as much as I am, but I still read the newspaper, and see how that goes.
Very cool. I don't know if Ruben or Deanna are on. I guess for all of you, what makes you feel as ready as possible to take the exam right now? I don't know that you ever feel completely ready, right? But yeah. At what point did you feel like, okay, I've done what I can do and I'm good to go?
Exactly, as you say, guys. First of all, Travis, thank you so much, as always. It's excellent job. I wanted to push to February, but then I said no, I'm going to do it in October. I want to try it, I want to see and feel it. So I decided to choose the management scone as well, because I worked in contracts and I'm still working in contracts, local government. So this is my strength, as Travis said. And I think it's very difficult to be 100% ready. Yes. So I want to try it. Again, I learned a lot. I submitted my narratives already. And thank you again. It was the classes, the sessions, the meetings was very helpful. So I want to try it. I want to do it. And then hopefully we'll get in touch again, and we can share our understandings and our experience. Yeah.
That my heart swelled. Do you know how happy I would be if on Flag Day or anywhere I see any of your faces, any of your names? I would probably run up to you, pick you up, and swing you around. Like, hey, you made it! I made it too. I can't believe it.
To echo that, you've been so thank you for all you've done to be prepared yourself, but to take us all along with you. That is no small feat.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I really appreciate each of you, because I think that if I would have gone at this alone, I definitely would not have had the diverse stories and experiences that everyone has shared, because I think just completely looking at it from my experience, I wouldn't have known to expand on, okay, well, maybe I should talk about this, my personal narrative, or I wouldn't have known, I wouldn't have been able to do some of the scenarios or the hypotheticals. Shout out to Deanna, because I remember she really stepped up and took on her role in the scenario. And I mean, you think you were watching like a Netflix. Like she was just like really tackling, and I was like, man, like they should really taking this serious. And I think the seriousness of what generally everyone has had, it made me want to show up for everyone too. So thank you.
Well, I also want to say thank you, and I'm planning on taking in October, and just say thank you because I kind of procrastinate a lot. I was like scared to like tackle it, but now I'm like, I'm just gonna take a chance, because
Yeah.
I came to these classes, so I think I'm ready. I think I'm prepared.
Good.
I'm just gonna take a chance on it. You never know.
You never know, right?
You never know.
Kind of like
Thank you.
thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you, seriously. Sam was saying, like, he was going through this book and he found it kind of simple, kind of easy. And I kind of felt that way too, but I realized
That's good.
if I would have had this book back in February, I probably would like, what is this? But now that I'm like kind of retouching this information, it's like, oh, okay. Like, is there more to this, or should it be? But I think yeah.
Good.
I do have a request on my last day. On my last day here, if anyone would, and I'll share if you agree, I'll share my personal email address with you. If anyone would like to share like a paragraph or something, like a letter of recommendation about this experience, I would somehow include this in my full presentation when I do get a chance to meet the diplomats in person for the exam. So they'll see that, hey, when I'm in this room, I'm not alone. People came here with me.
Oh yeah.
We showed up with each other and to each other.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Send your email. We'll definitely write
So,
something glowing and very true, because you have just been such a leader in this group. So thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
thank you. I'll put it in the chat here. But I'll also put it in the actually I'll just message each of you directly. I know others probably would as well, but I'll put it in the main chat.
Okay.
But okay, so has anyone actually received their invitation to test yet?
Nope.
Not yet. Okay. Well, I know you haven't submitted your personal narratives yet,
I
Sam.
don't remember an invitation to test when I took it. Did you get one before, Sam?
What last year I just scheduled the date and it was
Schedule
like, I'm going to take it, Friday on, Friday at 1:00 basically, and be here at this location.
Okay.
Yeah, once you finish your application and your statements and you select a date, you just get the information. At least that's how it was for me. So unless
That's how it was last year. I haven't done anything since then because I'm still finishing my narrative, proofreading my narratives.
Oh yeah, Sam. That email address, you can use that to email me your personal narratives.
Okay.
As well, so I'll review there. But yeah, thank you all. The time is 8:04. I'd like to keep my promises. I'm signing off for the last time as far as my session. If any of
Thank you so much again, Travis, for all your assistance.
Thank you, Travis. Thank you for
We'll see you at the
everything.
A100.
I see
See you guys all.
class, I will attend. So I'm still gonna be in the group chat. But
yeah, we will be in touch still. So yeah, we're not. So we are cool at this point. All right.
Yeah, we locked in.